This is going to show my age pretty clearly, but many of my most definitive video game memories were made on the Nintendo GameCube. I'd always been a Nintendo kid. I spent the first few years of my life fucking around in Peach's Castle in Mario 64. But when the GameCube came around, everything changed. I specifically remember the day we got our GameCube. I didn't even bother taking it out of the box. There were all these little pictures on the back of the different games they had on the console, and I remember just staring at all of them, blown away by the fact that games looked like this now. I never really got to try all those games, which was fair considering I was like, 7, 8 years old at the time? Point is, even though I didn't get to try every game I ever wanted, I got to play a lot of really great ones that would ultimately shape me and my tastes in video games going forward. The GameCube holds a really special place in my heart, so I want to use this series as an opportunity to look back at the games from my childhood and shine a spotlight on them, just for a little while longer. That is what GameCubed is all about. So right before they shipped this glorified plastic box, the Nintendo Game Boys were like, shit, we need a brand new, innovative title for the GameCube. Miyamoto-san, do you have a Mario we can shove in this box? And then Miyamoto was all like, nah, Mario's that lame shit. We fucking with Luigi tonight. Luigi's Mansion, the fruit of their labor, launched as one of the very first GameCube exclusives, and boy, it was good. I mean, it still is really good, don't get me wrong, but at the time, it was like god tier. You explore this massive, haunted mansion, equipped with nothing but a flashlight, vacuum cleaner, and a Game Boy horror. Your mission? To capture every ghost, specter, and apparition in the building, and flatten them back into paintings for your gallery. Oh, and you also gotta keep an eye out for any spare cash sitting around, because Luigi understands that life is a sandwich. No matter which way you flip it, the bread always comes first. The game is like if you took Resident Evil, Ghostbusters, an almost entirely interactable 3D environment, and Luigi, and threw them all in a blender together and watched the money roll in. And roll in it did. This game managed to beat Mario 64 in opening week sales and would end up being the 5th best-selling Nintendo GameCube game in the States at roughly 2.19 million copies sold. So what's all the hype about anyways? Why the Luigi Mania in the first place? Well, it's interesting because Luigi's Mansion took countless risks that, on the surface, should have made it dead on arrival, yet they all meshed together really flawlessly. That's not to say this game is perfect, trust me when I say it has its issues, but there's a lot more good at play here than bad. For starters, Luigi is an incredibly unorthodox choice of lead, especially when considering the brothers and their history in games. Up until this point, there had only been like one proper Luigi game, and that was Mario is Missing. Luigi is such an unremarkable character that they didn't even list him on the title of his own game. Mansion changed that though. Mario takes a complete backseat role in this one, while Luigi gets his time in the spotlight, and boy does that choice pay off. The Luigi identity that we know today is almost entirely shaped by his portrayal in this game. Up until now, Luigi had a very specific purpose that he fit incredibly well. He was a palette swap, a Mario for people who weren't lucky enough to play Mario. As such, he didn't really get much personality beyond, I am similar, but lesser. Not only is this a grave injustice to my main man Luigi, it's also pretty boring. Where's the flavor? We got your flavor right over here. In this game, he's incredibly sheepish and prone to fearful outbursts when put in, well, any mildly frightening situation. Fear plays an integral role in establishing his personality within the game, but Mansion is also literally oozing with personality. One of my favorite little details in the game is the way Luigi whistles alongside the game's theme when he's in cleared areas of the mansion, and how seamlessly it transitions to humming when he moves into the darkened rooms and corridors you've yet to clear out. It's really just a benign little character trait, but it's touches like that go a long way in establishing a likable or entertaining main character. Nowadays, a lot of games stick with the fuckable but dry-ass piece of white bread personality formula when designing their protagonists, which just leaves those characters lacking a certain, je ne sais quoi. Don't get me wrong though, Luigi is plenty fuckable, like peep that little strut he does down the hallway. He knows what he's working with. A good deal of the personality is put across through animations, but they'd be nothing without the voice work supporting them. Charles Martinet, the man responsible for voicing the Arios and Luigis of the Mushroom Kingdom, breathes a great deal of life into the game through Luigi, which is ironic considering everything else in the mansion is dead. Well, everyone in the mansion is dead, but the scenery in the estate actually has a lot of life to it. Because of the way the game is laid out, you spend a lot of your time just wandering through different rooms in the mansion, looking for ghosts or keys to unlock doors, and along the way you start to notice how much of the 3D space around you can be interacted with. With the Poltergust 3000 in hand, you can jostle, open, pull, and push all sorts of furniture and scenery, and oftentimes when you do, the game will reward you in the form of a cash explosion or by dropping a heart. You'll probably only figure out about this mechanic accidentally, sucking in a tablecloth instead of the ghost you're trying to catch, but the more you do it, the more natural it becomes, until you're checking nearly every item in the room for some cool surprise. It's a subtle teaching tool for catching ghosts, helping you become more comfortable with maneuvering the poltergust, but it's prepping you for a game mechanic later on, too. Or should I say boo? I've got some thoughts to share regarding the boos in this game, but before we talk about those fucks, we should probably talk about ghosts in general. There's a lot of ghosts in this game. A lot of them are very simple, kind of like brightly colored blobs, and they just serve to keep Luigi busy between rooms and whatnot. The real cream of the crop are the portrait ghosts, who all have their own little identities and flavor, usually revealed in the form of a puzzle you have to solve before you can suck them up. It starts off simple in the first area. You've got a standard nuclear family with a mom, dad, and a punk-ass baby. But then things get weirder the further you go. There's a butler, pool shark, bodybuilder, fortune teller, life-size toy soldiers, ice climber, man who lives in jars, and whatever the fuck Bogmire is. Don't get me wrong though, I love these weirdos. Part of what makes Luigi's Mansion fun is finding out what other weirdos used to live here once upon a time. Fighting the ghosts is fairly simple too. You need to expose their hearts by flashing them with a flashlight or by solving some sort of intricate puzzle, and then you can start sucking them up with the poltergust. Naturally, these ghosts are going to try to run for their non-lives, so you need to fight against them and pull the stick in the opposite direction. The longer you can keep your hold on them, the more rewards they'll drop. But they also throw these like weird minimizing mushrooms too, so you need to watch where you step. Regardless of where you are in the game though, you can always be confident that the portrait ghosts have 100 HP, and that number gets easier and easier to deal with the more comfortable you are with the controls. You want to know what isn't consistent and will fuck with you no matter how practiced you are? The boos. Longtime Mario fans know exactly what a boo is. White, round, doesn't like being looked at. They've always been the ghostly enemies in the Mario world, so it's only natural for them to make an appearance here. Luigi unknowingly releases a metric shit ton of boos early in the game, and recapturing them becomes a secondary but optional objective. Unlike the other ghosts in the game, boos don't mind light, so they tend to hide out in rooms that you've already cleared, encouraging you to go back through the mansion and interact with different objects until one of them pops out. This isn't an entirely hopeless task though. EGAD provides you with a boo radar that'll beep faster the closer you are to a hidden boo. Once you find them, you just gotta try and suck them up as fast as possible, because if the boo gets away, it'll move into a different room in the mansion. Mechanically, this is pretty cool because the game keeps track of all the different areas and their proximity to one another, so even if you can't feasibly get inside a room in one portion of the mansion, the boo can still move through walls and go back to another room from earlier in the game. This is fascinating. It's not very fun though. As I was replaying the game, I found myself getting progressively more pissed off about the boos escaping and moving from room to room, forcing me to go the long way around every single time. It's challenging, which is absolutely by design, but oftentimes this challenge can feel a little overplayed. I could very well skip the boos and just focus on the portrait ghosts, but I'm a dumbass who likes to complete games as much as possible, so I went out of my way to catch as many boos as I could. I got 49 out of 50 of them, and spoiler warning for a 19-year-old game, the final boss is King Boo. So I said to myself, this is clearly by design. He has to be the final boo in the game. I'm pretty sure of this fact because I've scoured the entire mansion several times and chased down every single boo. Surely I didn't miss out on a single— What the fuck, man? I'm a dum-dum, and I didn't manage to 100% the game, but I did get ending B, so it could have been worse. Minor annoyances aside, Luigi's Mansion still kicks ass in a major way. It's such a classic Nintendo game, specifically due to the fact that it tried to do so many wildly different things that no one really asked for, and ended up succeeding in a major way. I'd say that this innovative spirit can be traced back to the GameCube, but that attitude towards game design has always been a core philosophy held by the bigwigs over at Nintendo. Needlessly reinventing the wheel is kind of their thing, and while it may not always stick the landing perfectly, experimenting with the formula is what gave us classics like Mansion in the first place. It's why Luigi has his own series of games now, and why the Mario franchise actually has a proper horror game. I know what you're thinking, horror is a bit extreme for something so rated E for mild comic violence. But the best horror games don't have to rely on blood and guts and big jump scares. It's about the ambiance. Its spooky atmosphere managed to get me right into the Halloween spirit, while also providing a fun and admittedly brief experience. It was really nice getting back into this game again. So if you're looking for some legitimate spooks and scares this Halloween season, why not turn to some of the classics? You never know what ghosts from the past might be perfect to haunt you again this year. Hey there, hope you liked this. This is a new series that I'm thinking of starting. Kind of like I explained at the beginning, I go back through some different GameCube games, talk about how I feel about them, sort of my connection to them in the past. This one's really kind of themed towards Halloween, but I've got a whole bunch of different games in mind. Let me know what you think. Is this something that you'd like to see more of? You guys can go ahead and subscribe if this is your first video and you're interested in what we put out here. We put out a lot more like analysis videos, discussion of different media that we enjoy, games, movies, all that good shit. You can subscribe there. You can also stay up to date on all the goings-on of the Digital Dream Club by following us on Twitter at DigiDreamClub. We've also got a Discord that you can join if you'd like to talk to us directly. The link to that is down in the description. With that, hope you guys have a happy Halloween.